Hello there. We're back. After a little summer break, the SPS podcast is back. We're in episode 59. In this episode, I want to discuss why energy management is more important than time management and how ultimately focusing on my energy ended up changing my life. Enough with the intro, and let's get into the episode. You're listening to the Self-Performance Strategies podcast. My name is Stephen, and I am your host. The SPS pod is all about breaking down the complex world of performance and making it easier for you to build momentum in your life. Essentially, I'm here to help you do less dumb shit. The SPS pod is brought to you by the Pro Accelerator Program, a program specifically designed to help business owners and solopreneurs get rid of mental fatigue, save at least 10 hours a week, and also build a lot of momentum towards the key pillars and the goals that matter most to them. If that sounds like something you're interested in, check out the show notes and follow the links for the Pro Accelerator. But now, it's time to get into this episode. Hello. Welcome. Yes, as I said in the intro, we are in episode 59 of the SPS podcast. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about energy management. This is one of my favorite things to talk about because this is something that I feel is missed quite a lot in the productivity and performance space. There is a lot of focus on time management. There's a little bit of focus on task management, but energy management seems to be something almost passed off to the fitness gurus, almost passed off to that type of performance coach who's going to deal with people's energy, diet, and working out. Yet the performance and productivity guys seem to get stuck in stupid hacks, fancy calendars, getting you to do the Pomodoro technique, which is ridiculous. And I think energy management actually is the core cornerstone to a happy, good life. If you're fit, healthy, and your energy's high, I don't think there's a problem in the world you cannot overcome. And that's why I wanted to discuss energy management in this podcast. But first, before I jump into the story, and really this is just a personal story of this episode, but before I jump into it, I want to share a quote like I do at the start of all my episodes. And this one comes from the legendary musician Lou Reed. And he said, and this is beautiful, by the way, I think of all the business quotes that I usually talk about and all the other philosophical guys that get put in my podcast, this is a beautiful quote from a musician. He said, "High energy does not necessarily mean fast. High energy has to do with the heart." Absolute banger, because that is exactly where I'm coming from with high energy. It's exactly where I'm coming from with high energy. Energy is one of the most essential pillars of my progress. And it comes from doing things from your heart, doing things that you want to do, knowing where you want to go, defining your success, working in alignment with who you are on the things that align with you, that give you energy, that come from your heart, and then you expand into more freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of relationship, and freedom of purpose. When I was younger, when I was going through my party years, I never had the energy to focus on anything more than just getting through the day. I even selected a career in retail, working in retail stores, selling men's clothes, because I knew I could cruise through the days. I knew it was not complex work. I'm pretty good personally selling things. Working in retail is not cognitively difficult. I didn't need to send emails. I didn't need to write long reports. It was basically show up, do work, get paid. But here's the but. The long hours and the shit pay did create more frustration in my life. It was not the right job if I wanted to have more free time, if I wanted to have challenges in my life. I avoided challenges and I tried to play the easy game, and the easy game ends up with more frustration. So anytime I try to start anything new in my life, a new skill or a new habit, change my life around, I struggled because I was pushing up against my lack of energy because I was still going out partying and drinking, and it never occurred to me to stop partying and drinking. It occurred to me that I needed to do new things like going for runs, maybe try to learn a skill, try to improve myself. But it was too easy for me to keep going out partying at the weekend and then spend my weeknights catching up on sleep, watching TV, playing video games, hanging out, whatever it is. So I kept falling into the trap of thinking I had no discipline. For years, probably all of my 20s, I thought I lacked discipline. I thought I wasn't a disciplined person, and that was some type of like trait that I didn't have. I also lacked the ability to focus, or thought I lacked the ability to focus. I saw other people getting promoted, making moves, getting shit done. And I wondered how they did it. You know, they might have gone out once or twice a month or whatever that is, but I was seeing these people out and about ever so often, and they were moving their life forward and getting shit done. So I put it on my back. I let a limiting story take control in my mind that I thought I didn't have the talent to succeed. I thought I just was not good at this. I wasn't great at school. I'm a CD student, went to university, don't know how that happened, got a degree, and then I chose a career, as I said, that I could just kind of be lazy at. I was just, how can I do the least amount of work and get paid and still have a lot of fun? Wrong way to run my life. But by the back end of my 20s, I was in a rut. I had a deep desire to change. I was fed up with my constant stop, start, stop, just constantly like that with every new habit, skill, gone through a couple of different types of retail jobs. I was trying to get paid more money, but yet still do less work. It was a clusterfuck of stupid decisions and not doing the right thing. And for some reason, I asked myself a different question one day. What's standing in my way? For years, I'd always looked to add new habits and actions on top of my schedule. I still going out partying, still drinking, doing whatever it was, still doing the full-time job. But I'd never thought about what was in my way, what was slowing me down, what was actually getting in the way of me improving my life. Instantly, I thought about my energy. It just popped into my head. It was like, well, my energy's always low. I don't feel like going to the gym after work. I don't feel like doing things at nighttime. I want to sleep in every day. And then I realized I was always putting off or dropping new habits because I was tired and I was recovering from heavy weekends, party weekends from drinking, and even going out midweek for a couple of beers. I thought if my energy was higher, it would allow me to read more, start new habits, improve my life. That was just what I thought about. It came to me. Bear in mind, it took me probably from the age of like 21, 22 through to about 26, 27 of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years of partying to come to this realization. It wasn't like I was a genius and woke up one day and was like, oh, this is the path. I banged up against my own self-sabotaging mistakes for years, nearly a decade if you could argue. But for me at a certain point in my late 20s and early 30s, the math was very simple. Higher energy equals more positive results. The higher I can make my energy, the more likely I am to actually do the new habits, the positive habits, the deep, hard work, the difficult stuff. Do hard shit. The higher the energy, the more hard shit you can get done in a day. I didn't have a discipline problem. This is the big thing. You hear Jocko Willink and other, productivity type, fitness kind of guys in there as well. Jocko Willink's kind of a crossover, leadership, fitness, do hard shit. And he says discipline equals freedom. But I think discipline starts way further back than just willpower. You need high energy. The lower your energy is, the less willpower you have. So if you're out partying, drinking, playing lots of video games, hooked on porn, whatever it is, whatever your crutches or whatever your bad habits are, you'll do those bad habits more when you're tired. You'll lean into them more when you have lower willpower. And it doesn't mean you lack discipline. It means you lack energy. It means you have an energy problem. And this is what I discovered in my own life, because I've partied for days on end, weeks on end. I've been to Ibiza, been to the big nightclubs in London, been to the big nightclubs around the UK, been to more parties than most people will ever go to in their lives. I put in a shift. I have a PhD in partying. So I know how low my energy could get after a weekend, after staying up for 24, 48 hours, even longer sometimes at the weekend, just going and going and going. Dumb shit in my early to mid 20s. Dumb shit. But the back end of my 20s and early 30s, I started looking at all the energy vampires in my life. Too much TV, too much shit food, too many party weekends, not enough sleep or recovery, not enough of the right habits in my life. One by one, in my early 30s, I removed all the dumb shit that was sucking my energy. That was my focus. That was my focus. I didn't add new habits. I started seeing my energy as the core foundation of positive results in my life. The more I removed the stuff that was giving me low energy, the more I went to bed early, the more I ate healthy food, the less I watched lots of television, the less I went out at the weekends, whatever it was, the more that I actually did recharge habits in between, working, the more I actually got done. It sounds pretty straightforward and simple, but you'll be amazed at the amount of people drink a couple of beers at night time and then wonder why they can't get out of bed the next day. You'll be amazed at the bunch of people that sit down and watch Netflix at night time and eat a big bag of chips and maybe have a little bit of ice cream, and then they wonder why they can't get out of bed the next day. You'll be amazed at the amount of people that get out of bed at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning midweek, but then the weekends they're sleeping in to 9 or 10 because they're staying up late and they're drinking a couple of bottles of wine, and they're wondering why their Monday mornings are shit. It's because they're fucking their energy. You're fucking your system. You're not putting the right things in your system, and you're slowing yourself down. So you don't have to be a absolutely ridiculous party person like I was to understand that the things that you put in your system and the actions that you do can slow you down the next day or the next week. But once I made this shift, my life became easier. I no longer put myself under the stress of adding new habits or trying to shoehorn in some positive actions. That's what I was doing in my 20s. I was like, I need to go running. I need to go to the gym. I need to start doing positive things. But I wasn't removing the dumb shit first. I was shoehorning in these activities on top of having low energy, which meant I had low discipline. But high energy is one of the core functions of discipline. I looked at my actions in more of a binary way, and I could do this to this day. This is what I look at the food I eat, I look at the actions I take, I look at my life like this. When things come into my life, whether it's a meal in the afternoon or whether it's hanging out with someone, I ask myself a simple question: does this give me or does this take away my energy? And my goal most days is to do things that actually gives me energy. I try to do as many things in a row each day that gives me energy. I focused on removing the energy draining actions. Because of this, if you've listened to any of my podcasts before, you probably know my story. I went from shitty $12, $13, $14 an hour retail jobs in my late 20s and early 30s to quickly earning six figures in my early to mid 30s, then moving across from working retail into insurance and making six figures again. And now I run a business, an online business in my 40s that has brought me in over six figures of online money. And all that happened in about a 10-year period of focusing on high energy. So when I started putting my energy first, it allowed me to really change my life around, to go from $12 an hour jobs to six figures of online money. A lot of different skill sets in there over that 10 years. You can really break that 10 years down into 3 or 4 little mini sprints, maybe 2.5 years getting myself going and getting into sales, 2.5 years, then getting really good at sales, then leaving sales, 2.5 to 3 years working in insurance, a bit longer, but getting that leadership stuff in. And the last 2.5 years has been me running my business. So I nearly split it into 4 categories of how I use my high energy to do different skill sets to build myself to here, if that makes sense. Now I want to go all the way back to that Lou Reed quote at the start. A beautiful quote. High energy does not necessarily mean fast. High energy has to do with heart. Now, the reason why I want to come back to that is I truly believe that one of the reasons why I was able to build high energy is because I started defining what success was for me. I started defining the type of person I wanted to be. I started defining what I wanted a day to look like. I started defining where I wanted to go in my career, and then now where I wanted to go in my online business. And this is something I actually get all my clients to do very early on when they work with me. It's defining your journey. Because when you define things, you know what to focus on. You end up knowing what your high priorities are. You end up knowing what your high value activities and high energy habits are. And then you start noticing all the stuff that drains your energy, from relationships to projects to even things in your business. And you get to drop them or delegate them or whatever is best for you within those situations. But you cannot find your low energy draining activities or things in your life if you do not know where you're going. If you're not working from your heart, if you're not traveling to a destination from your heart, you'll struggle to get rid of the low energy activities. And that's the big shift for me in my life, as I've described in this podcast, as I've gone through and explained to you that a massive part of my high energy journey came from 10 years ago. First of all, wanting to have high energy, but then defining where I wanted to go. The life I'm living right now, I wrote about 2 or 3 years ago. The life I was living 2 or 3 years ago, I wrote about 2 or 3 years before that. So my heart has been pulling me with high energy most days towards this destination. You could call it the law of attraction. I like to call it the law of action. But when you define success, it's easier to have high energy. Now, as you know, I used to suck at energy management. I just explained that to you. In my 20s, I was terrible at it. But now I help other business owners and solopreneurs build a ton of momentum with their high energy. It's something I do in my Pro Accelerator program. If you're interested in that, there are links in the description below. But if you want to get shit done in life and business, for me, the first pillar is to fix and improve your energy management. You can't do shit without high levels of energy. That is absolute facts, pure facts. Trust me, I've tried and I've failed. So in this podcast, if you go to the show notes, if you link below, I have actually created a free program called Kinetic Flow, where I take you through 5 key pillars of energy management. And the first pillar is defining success. You can go and click on that link, download it, join Kinetic Flow, and start defining where you want to go, and you'll start building high energy in your life. If you want to save 10 hours a week in your business, if you want to save 10 hours a week in your life, if you want to start building high energy, if you want to reduce stress, if you want to actually change your life around, change your business around, whatever that is for you in your current situation, high energy is one of the solutions. It's one of the cures to your struggles. High energy is really, really important. And I will say this as I wrap up, because I mentioned it at the start of the podcast. Too many of the productivity guys out there in the world focus on time management and task management to start. While I believe in task management, I think focusing on energy management first is absolutely essential. Start there. I'm almost arguing with the microphone right now, thinking about people who talk about time management on LinkedIn and Twitter. It's stupid. It's stupid if you haven't got your energy management figured out, if you haven't got your destination selected, if you haven't designed the type of life that you want. What are you time managing? Nothing. You're just helping yourself do shit habits and shit activities faster, which is bullshit. You might not even be meant to be doing that work. That's why sort your energy, sort your goals, sort your destination, then sort your tasks. And then if you have to, you can use time management. But I'm telling you right now, in my life, in the life of my clients, I can tell you that when you have energy management sorted out and you have a little bit of task management, you don't need time management because you're getting your shit done already. Anyway, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I will get off my soapbox on this episode of the SPS podcast, the 59th episode. Thank you for listening to me, listening to one of my rants. I think it's a bit more rant this episode than usual, but hey, sometimes I just gotta bring it sometimes. Bring that high energy. Thank you very much for listening all the way through to this part of the podcast. I really do appreciate all of you that listened to my episodes. Much love. If you want to check out the show notes below, click on the Pro Accelerator Work With Me 101, or if you want to get the free access to the Kinetic Flow Program, the links are below. You can also send me a DM on Twitter at Steve Timoney, that's at SteveTimoney, or you can slide on over to my website at stephentimoney.com, StephenTimoney.com, and you can check out my newsletter, you can check out my podcast, all the other episodes, you can check out my main coaching offer as well. I am here to help. Thank you very much, and we'll speak to you in the next one. Make it a good one.